Number 5, Ryan Williams, wide receiver at Alabama. I mean, dude is incredible. He would have been one of the best true freshmen that I've ever seen, if not for another player that you will hear from later on this list. Ryan Williams, now 18 years old, going into his sophomore season. He was a first-team All-SEC player as a 17-year-old, which is just wild to think of, which conference is so deep. It's been so good for so long, obviously. And to come in at 17 and be as good and as dominant as he was, make the types of plays that he did. The 75-yard touchdown against Georgia is one of the plays of the year. He finished with 177 yards that night. He's dynamic. He's fast. His body control is outstanding. The way that he can, as a young player, understand his position on the field and also where he's at in relation to the defender. His body control, yes, but it's more his spatial awareness. How many times were you able to see Ryan Williams understand his spatial awareness when the ball was still in the air and he was slowing himself down or turning himself in a fashion where he could either absorb the hit or he was putting himself in a better position to make a move after the catch? He's sure-handed. He's electric. Ryan Williams, man, he's one of my favorite players to watch. These young wide receivers are better than they've ever been. Jeremiah Smith, you'll hear from him later in this list, as good as a young combination of wide receivers I've ever seen. Ryan Williams, number 5 on the list. Hey, you know what? It's time to get out and do something fun. So whether it's catching a game or surprising someone with tickets, live events are back in a huge way. You know it, and I know it. This is why I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's show, SeatGeek. All right, so they've got 28 million downloads. SeatGeek is the number 1 rated ticketing app with more than 70,000 events listed. So the college football season, that's upon us. You know it, I know it. The NFL is on the horizon. Major League Baseball, that's in full swing. Our team here at Joel Klatt Show, we use SeatGeek to grab tickets for all of it. It's quick, it's easy, and you know you're getting a great deal. That's what I love about it. So this is how it works. Every ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you can see the value just at a quick glance. Green dots, that mean great deals. Red dots, that means maybe keep looking. Plus, every ticket is backed by their guarantee, buyer guarantee. It's there. And here's the kicker. You can use the code CLAT10, that's CLAT10, for 10% off your next SeatGeek purchase. That's 10% off tickets with promo code CLAT10. Just click the link in the show description to download the app. The code will be automatically added to your account for later. Just a huge shout out, huge thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's show. At number 4, I know he hasn't been a full-time starter, and I know that I do think people are going to get, I don't know about tired of the hype is the right word or thought to convey. But Arch Manning deserves a spot on this list. If you just look at the way that he played when he got his chances to play, it was dynamic. We only got to see him for a little bit. Played in 10 games, yes, but there was only the 2 starts. And I want to point more so to the 2 starts than all the other time where he was kind of a specialty type player, filling a role on the offense. He would come in a lot of short yardage situations. In his 2 starts, that's when I thought his potential popped. In his 2 starts, he reminded me a lot of Trevor Lawrence when Trevor Lawrence was at Clemson. An athletic guy that didn't beat you with his athleticism, but beat you with his arm. Smart, competitive, great pedigree, obviously. In his 2 starts, 13 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The guy can play, and he's very, very good. There are some, and I get this. I get it. Listen, I get it. Because of his name, people roll their eyes and they're like, hey, man, let him do something. Is he really that good? My answer is yes. If you watch the film, if you actually see the way that he plays, the way that he moves, the throws that he can make, Texas could be a more dangerous offense because of Arch Manning. Now, you understand, they had the experience of Quinn Ewers, but Arch, attacks the grass on the field in a different way. One, I do believe that you have to account for him and as an athlete and as a runner. And we saw that in some of those games. His ability to take it the distance is there. So you have to account for that, at least at a minimum, which is difficult because there's only so many defenders that you get to deploy as a defensive coordinator. Then you have the aspect that he can threaten the grass on the field to what I would say a greater extent that Quinn Ewers did. Ewers was a really good player. I loved Ewers. But Manning makes throws that I think scare defensive coordinators versus just, yeah, he can make the throw. Because he can threaten the outside of the numbers from the far hash down the field. Well, now all of a sudden what you're doing is you're expanding the defense. When you expand the defense, you expand the seams in the defense. You put a greater level of importance on each individual's ability to tackle in space. And now all of a sudden the defense is under more stress. When the defense is under more stress, they're more apt to give up big plays, give up yardage, give up first downs, give up points. So Manning's going to be a better option for Texas. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. When you look at the way he played in those two starts, it jumps off the tape. I thought late in the year that they could be in a better position if he would have played. Now, that doesn't account for the experience of Ewers, whom I loved, but he's a major threat, speaking of Manning, in a lot of different ways. Texas is likely going to be looking downfield a lot more than they were in the last couple of years, and that's scary because they've been bringing in so many talented and fast wide receivers. I really, really love the thought of doing that game opening week against Ohio State, Arch getting out there. It's his car, it's his keys, it's his program, and he gets to go against a defensive coordinator and Matt Patricia, who's going to be trying to learn the college game for the first time with a bunch of new players. Now, he's going to have to face Caleb Downs, who's one of the better players in the country. You'll hear from him later in the list. But that's going to be an incredible matchup on Fox, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that. All right, number 3. Let's go to number 3. Hey, let's check in with the third Clemson Tiger in the top 10. That's right, it's Kade Klubnik. I think Kade Klubnik is going to be the best quarterback in the country. I think he's going to have a great chance to win the Heisman Trophy. He grew last year in major ways. And now all of a sudden he's going to be, not even all of a sudden, now he will be a third-year starter for the third year in the same system. So now he's going to have a third year with Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator. I know that they've got questions at running back. I understand that. But they've recruited well. They got a top 5 running back in the country coming in. But he's got Garrett Riley, quality wide receivers, and I believe 4 offensive linemen back. Yeah, man. Like, Klubnik should be excellent. I thought he was really good against Texas, even in the loss in the playoffs on the road. Tough to do. Go play on the road. This idea that like he was the reason they struggled, I just disagree with. He finished with 36 passing touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns, just through 6 interceptions. So he takes care of the football. He's athletic. Maybe not Manning, but athletic. Maybe not Lawrence, but athletic. And he's got great players in front of him. 4 senior offensive linemen, all played before. Quality wide receivers. Good, dynamic, young, albeit running back. And he's going to have a great defense. I'm telling you guys. Clemson is legit. And they will be great. I will be very surprised if they're not at a minimum in the national semifinal. All right, top 2 players in the country. Number 2, safety for Ohio State, Caleb Downs. Downs is unbelievable. Talk to anybody who watches this sport for any extended period of time, and you'll hear them talk about Caleb Downs and just his overall instincts, his ability to tackle in space, what he can do from an athletic perspective, even in the return game. Again, get to YouTube. You're watching highlights right now. This is a punt return against Indiana. He takes it back to the house, changed that game in the first half. Downs is so good that Ohio State basically changed the defense about mid-year in order to focus on getting him in a position to impact more plays than he otherwise would have. At safety, you can get stuck like in a half or in a deep third, and you can't really impact the play if you're playing some of those positions, although those structures are solid in football. So they changed the structure. They have 3 safeties, or did last year, and they put him in more of a position in the middle of the field to be involved not only in the run fit, but also in the pass defense. And because of that, he became more impactful, and they got better as a defense. The pass rush got better up front because they were better in coverage. Why? Because Downs was more involved in the middle of the field, impacting more plays than he otherwise would have. When Jim Knowles started moving him closer, that's when I thought their defense got a lot better. He is one of my favorite guys to talk to in the lunchroom, even though we're always bothering him as he's trying to eat. Great head on his shoulders. Smart young man. Very smart young man. His instincts are born from thoughtful preparation. And most great players are like that. And he's a great player. So Downs checks in at number 2. All right. The best player in college football for next year, I think we can all say this together, by the way, is Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver for Ohio State. Never seen anything like this. I played against Adrian Peterson when he was a true freshman at Oklahoma. And those are the only 2 guys that I've ever seen. And I've been around this sport my entire life. Those are the only 2 guys that I've ever seen that I'm like, yeah, they could have played, and not only played, but succeeded in the National Football League right away out of high school. And Smith was one of those guys. Very rarely do we see a player that comes in with all the hype of Smith, number 1 player in the country, so on and so forth, and then he doesn't just live up to that, but he exceeds those expectations. He was the best player on the field at all times last year. It didn't matter who they were playing. When I would talk with opposing coaches and I would bring up, like, what's your plan for Smith? They would look at me and be like, oh, there's not really a plan. You can't really have a plan. 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns as a true freshman. That's stupid good. Lived up to all of that hype. He's basically built physically in a lab, okay? He's listed as about 6'3", 215. I've got really good reports from Columbus that he's rolling at about 220, 225, and they think he's faster than he was a year ago. He's got unbelievable hands. He catches everything. So I was trying to go back, and I'm like, well, what's the comp? And it's like, is it Megatron? And it's like, well, Jeremiah's more athletic than Megatron. Is it Julio Jones? And I'm like, gosh, Jeremiah's more fluid than Julio. And it's like, is it Randy? And it's like, well, you can't do that because Moss is like Moss, and Rice and Moss are at the top. For the first time in my career, there is a player that I believe could join that echelon at some point, and that's this player. I think that we need to collectively, as a college football community, and I understand that we are tribal in this community, and we hate the things that others have, but I don't care. Unless you're a Michigan fan and you just can't, I want us to enjoy, for the next couple of years, getting to watch this guy play college football, because that's what I'm going to do. He's the best college football player I've ever seen. He's the only guy that I can just sit there and think to myself, like, man, if he continues to have this type of head on his shoulders, if he continues to work, he can and will develop. He's got the talent to be one of the best of all time. He's the only guy. Like, just watch the film. I mean, I know this is a little peek behind the curtain, but there were times in my coaches' meetings with some of the offensive coaches at Ohio State when I was like, hey, like, maybe don't overthink it. You know, like, hey, he's a regardless player. So regardless of the coverage, throw him the ball, which ended up being exactly what happened, in particular in the Rose Bowl. In the Rose Bowl, he goes to that right corner, and there's 3 Oregon Ducks all over him. And Will Howard still throws it to him, and he just jumps up over all of them and catches the football. Similar plays against Michigan State. It was just like game in and game out. He's making amazing plays. Look at what the game plan was surrounding the national championship game, getting him the football. Like, he ended the season with that huge 3rd and long catch in the national championship game, and that's born out of complete trust. Think about what was on the line for Ryan Day. Think about what was on the line at that place with that amount of pressure and expectation like there is at Ohio State. And Ryan Day is like, all right, what are we going to do? It's the most important snap of my life as a coach. What are we going to do? Throw it to the guy I trust the most, Jeremiah Smith. That's all you need to know. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.